The NBA apocalypse might be upon us. LeBron James reportedly could meet with the Golden State Warriors in free agency. Welcome to SI Now. I'm Robin Lundberg here with the Crossover and Crossover TV's Matt Dollinger and Rohan Nadkarni. According to an ESPN report, out of respect for what the Warriors have done, LeBron James would at least listen to a pitch in free agency if they can open up the necessary cap space. Your reaction, fellas?
Okay, here's what I'll say. Right, we all think it's ridiculous. Let me play devil's advocate for 1 second. Our colleague Lee Jenkins said something very interesting the other day. He was on the Zach Lowe podcast, and he said, if LeBron leaves Cleveland, it would be for a quote-unquote sure thing. Do I think he's going to the Warriors? No. Are the Warriors a sure thing if he goes there? Yes, absolutely. I think this kind of highlights maybe LeBron's thinking if he leaves, it's going to be for a championship opportunity, but there's no way. There's no way.
I know this term has been ruined amongst all of America, but this is what fake news actually looks like. This is not true. LeBron James is not going to the Warriors. I don't care what his people told an ESPN reporter. These are mind games. LeBron James, we have to realize this by now. LeBron James is smarter than the three of us combined. He is 4 steps ahead of us. He knows how we're going to react to this story. He knows how the Cavaliers are going to react to this story. This is an attempt. This is a power play. This is a message to Dan Gilbert. It's basically saying, I'm not messing around. Yeah. You better figure this out. I'll go the Warriors.
Yeah, it's not a coincidence that it comes out 1 week before the trade deadline, perhaps.
Right.
You know, but it is funny. It's the modern day, culture in a sense where you look at the headline, LeBron to the Warriors, the world is ending. And then you read the story and it says, well, he might consider them if this is taking place.
He would entertain a meeting, potentially.
And what's crazy to me is the idea that the Warriors could somehow still have cap space for a max star, considering they have Draymond and Clay and Durant and Curry.
If I'm an NBA fan, I would want Adam Silver to intervene at that point and be like, please stop this from happening. You'll ruin the league.
I mean, not all titles are created equal either, right? I mean, to pass Jordan, if he got to 7 with the Warriors, I would feel as if 4 would be much greater than 7 if he's able to get a 4th in Cleveland or really anywhere other than Golden State.
I mean, yeah, we already saw that effect with Kevin Durant to an extent, right? I mean, there was kind of this conversation last year, how is Durant going to react when he wins the title? You kind of remember, he didn't get overly emotional, right? You remember when LeBron got over the hump in Miami, it's about damn time and, kind of the fallout from there. Whereas Durant, it was kind of like, well, yeah, what else was going to happen?
It was relief more than anything.
Yes, so I do agree with that. And when you have the legacy conversation, how you get there is just as important. And Durant's already kind of, looked at differently because of how he got there.
I mean, they would need like an army of burner accounts to defend that move if it actually went down. The typing would be fast. It would be furious. But what it does do is lead us into the kind of conversations that are fun to have. I mean, just like talking about this as a possibility is fun. And talking about LeBron on the move, period, is fun because the Cavs, they've really been struggling in January and struggled for the month of January. He is a free agent this summer. Let's say hypothetically, make it hypothetically, he wants to expedite his exit and goes to the team to request a trade. We put together some hypothetical trade packages for that exact scenario. Let's run through them to get your thoughts. Trade number 1, the Bucks. LeBron and Kyle Korver to Milwaukee for Chris Middleton, Jabari Parker, Malcolm Brogdon, Mirza Teletovic, and a protected first-rounder.
I just cannot imagine LeBron James ever playing in the city of Milwaukee. No offense to the entire state of Wisconsin, but there's just no way that man goes there. It's an interesting package. I mean, the Cavaliers, if they would ever trade LeBron, they're going to want a couple of different things. They're going to want, guys who they can plug in right away to stay somewhat respectable, but they're more interested in the younger prospects, the guys who could be potential starters. They would get a few in that package. I'll give it to them, but what the hell are you doing if you trade LeBron, right?
I think the Cavs have hopefully learned their lesson by now about trading with intra-conference rivals, so I don't think he's going to Milwaukee.
But wouldn't you like to see LeBronis, James the Kumbo?
Oh, goodness. Absolutely.
Whatever that amalgamation would be there. They would need a lot of shooting, though. I don't know. It probably makes them contenders in the East. I don't think they're immediately contenders, even if that went down.
I don't think so.
No, but, the idea of LeBron lobbing passes to Giannis, until he's 45, that makes a lot of sense. So I think that would be pretty fun to watch.
All right, trade number 2, LeBron to Philadelphia for J.J. Redick, Markelle Fultz, who we haven't seen on the court again, Dario Saric, and one of Philly's stash of draft picks. Does this one make sense?
I don't think so. If we could see Fultz hit a jump shot 7 times in a row, maybe. But because of that and that alone, I think there's no chance Cleveland would do that.
This one's more intriguing to me just because I think LeBron would like to go to Philadelphia if that was the trade. You know, he'd play with Embiid and Simmons. He would kind of have that nucleus he wants. For Cleveland, though, I don't think you're getting enough back. I mean, this is the same franchise that just drafted Anthony Bennett. Do they really want to roll the dice on Markelle Fultz? They kind of know how that goes with a risky #1 pick. So I don't think they would do that.
I've heard Philly a lot, but what about the redundancies between Ben Simmons and LeBron? Now, generally, talent figures it out, I guess. Yeah. But that appears those two guys are so similar, at least in what they do. And since Simmons can't shoot, do you think that would work?
I think it would, because we've seen LeBron, step to the side a little bit to accommodate other stars, and I think he's like, a 2 in cards when deuces are wild. Yeah. LeBron could stay in the corner. LeBron could set screens. LeBron could rebound. He could play power forward. He could bring the ball up the floor. He could do any of those things. Let Ben Simmons do what he's best at. LeBron could do whatever.
If LeBron can make it work with Norris Cole, he can make it work with Ben Simmons.
Yeah. Booby Gibson, Norris Cole, the list goes, Jamario Moon.
Those giants coming together and compromising their games. Yeah.
Trade number 3, the New Orleans Pelicans. LeBron goes to the Pelicans for Boogie Cousins, assuming he gets healthy and the Cavs agree to give him a big deal. And Solomon Hill also included in this. Anthony Davis and LeBron would be about as good a pairing, I think, as you could possibly put together if you put Davis at center and LeBron at 4.
Yeah, I think that would be an awesome trade for the Pelicans. I mean, let's say even Boogie didn't have the injury. If the Cavs trade LeBron, I don't think it's going to be with the goal of let's be competitive next year or in the near future. If they trade him, I think it's going to be like one of those full-scale tear-down rebuild situations. So that's why I don't like that trade for Cleveland, because it's not helping them in the long term.
Yeah, I think you're right. The timetable would be a little too advanced. I think Cleveland would want to tear it down a bit. They'd keep that Brooklyn pick, so they'd be drafting another lottery guy. I think if the Pelicans were going to get him, they'd have to give up Anthony Davis, and that doesn't really do anything.
So I actually have a slightly fake trade, kind of half-baked, that I want to throw out there. I call this the Ben Golliver special.
Okay.
It's LeBron to the Houston Rockets for Chris Paul, Trevor Ariza, and like a bunch of 4 future first-round picks.
Well, first, Chris Paul's a little older, and second, that's like his boy. I mean,
it is. It's interesting, but who says no, right? Cleveland gets like a competitive guy in response who's on an expiring contract, so it does set up their rebuild. Houston, is like angling towards LeBron in some aspects. Maybe they find a way they can steal him. I'm just throwing it out there.
Look, we can throw out trades for LeBron to 29 teams.
I'll give you.
There's no trade. Right. There's no trade that doesn't look ridiculous, because LeBron's on one side. There's no such thing as equal value. Yeah. There's no such thing as a realistic scenario. But we're a week away from the trade deadline. We're talking about it, and reports are coming out that actually have it making sense. So these are crazy times in the NBA. We're not sure how to react.
You guys are lukewarm on all these trades. Does that mean LeBron's going to the Warriors?
I think ultimately the guy's staying put. I think, if anything, he's trying to force Dan Gilbert to sell the team. I think he's wondering, if I create enough negative storylines, can I get a guy in here who I actually like?
Yeah, I think the only way he could go to Golden State is if he was old and washed. Braden sends in a tweet, LeBron's not going to the Warriors whatsoever, in all caps, so he really means
it. He's got the report. All right.
Yeah. I'm listening to him. That sounds like good intel.
That was from Facebook.
It's in caps.
Yeah. These comments from Facebook and Twitter. Aliqua says, I could see the Rockets, not the Warriors.
There we go. Yeah. I like the way you're thinking there.
And Byron says, ruin the NBA, please.
Yes. This is
Byron's an anarchist.
It's a legacy thing. LeBron knows. He's thinking about it. Look at that Instagram post he sent out the other day congratulating himself. He's constantly thinking about his legacy. There's no way he's going to taint it that bad by going to the Warriors. He'd be ruined. People would never let him go.
Some people like to watch the world burn, however.
Yes,
and if LeBron is amongst those people, he would send a passive-aggressive tweet first, and then he would do it. Okay, real quick on some players slightly less famous than LeBron, but far more likely to change teams. Greg Monroe was bought out by the Suns, while the Bulls and Grizzlies are holding out Nikola Mirotic and Tyreek Evans, respectively, while they look for deals. Which of these guys is likely to have the biggest impact on the season, depending on where they wind up?
I think Mirotic could have an impact depending on where he ends up, specifically because he could be a key injury replacement for teams. Like, I think the Wizards should get involved on Mirotic if they can. If he goes to New Orleans, he's not going to replace Boogie Cousins, but he gives them a good front court player. Something about Mirotic, and I've kind of fallen into this trap as well, is you look at him as just as his chucker. The Bulls have historically been pretty good defensively when he's on the court as well. He can shoot. He's going to shoot almost every time he touches the ball. Right. But I think he can help out a team like Washington or even New Orleans.
I think Tyreek Evans is the guy. I think there's a couple teams in the East that could use a bench scorer, and Evans fills that role. He's done a nice job in Memphis of kind of showing he doesn't need to be the #1 guy all the time to contribute. I could see someone trying to get a rich man, 6 man.
Yeah.
get Tyreek Evans, have him contribute in the playoffs. Greg Monroe is not helping anybody that matters.
I think Boston's live for both of those guys, but more so Tyreek Evans, I think, makes the impact. Fabian sends in a Facebook comment, trade LeBron to the D League so he can win every year. Hey. It's the G League now, which is a great rebranding, by the way.
That's so Fabian. He always makes that mistake.
LeBron on a two-way contract. Yeah. Let him win both.
Sure.
Matt Dollinger, Rohan Carney, where can people check out Crossover TV?
We're on SI.com now, so just on SI.com. You don't need to subscribe to Amazon, but please do.
Yeah, but please do
both. Yeah. Subscribe to Amazon, but SI.com, Crossover TV, all our episodes are going to be on there. It's a lot of fun. We interview a lot of fun people. You guys should check it out.
Definitely check it out. From big impact on the court to big impact on the field, Nick Foles has found a way to step in and bring the Eagles to the Super Bowl. How does he rank against other QBs that have been in this position in the past? Watch this.
When Carson Wentz went down, so did Philly's Super Bowl hopes. Enter Nick Foles. Foles has done an admirable job stepping into the starter role, leading the Eagles to Super Bowl 52 and posting impressive numbers in the process. But how does he stack up to other top second bananas? Across the field, Tom Brady was once a backup, thrust into a starting role on a Patriots team bound for the Super Bowl. He played great too. But Brady stepped in during the second game of the season after Drew Bledsoe went down. He basically was a starter by the big game. There's a few like that. Kurt Warner, Terry Bradshaw, Jim Plunkett, and Roger Staubach all started the majority of the season and became stars after their Super Bowl victory. But then there are guys like the 1987 Redskins quarterback Doug Williams, a veteran backup who never became a successful starter. Or the 2000 Ravens Trent Dilfer. Or the 1990 Giants Jeff Hostetler. They weren't anything special, but their defense and rush games were, and all three backups grabbed a W in the Super Bowl. Then, there's the best backup to ever hold a clipboard, Earl Morrall. In his 21 years in the league, he only started for about 3 seasons. But in Super Bowl V, Morrall took over for the legendary Johnny Unitas in the second quarter of the game and led a come-from-behind win. Just 2 years later, Morrall saved the Miami Dolphins' undefeated 1972 season, starting 9 regular season games after Hall of Famer Bob Greasy went down. Morrall started and won the divisional and conference playoff rounds too, before yielding to the now healthy Greasy in the Super Bowl. But let's back up. Can Foles hoist the trophy while keeping Wentz's seat warm? It wouldn't be a first.
It's not the first time we've seen this script play out. Of course, Tom Brady turned his Super Bowl opportunity into a Hall of Fame career, I'd say. When it comes to Foles, what do you think the markets and opportunities look like for him if he goes on to play well in this game?
Yeah, I think regardless of this game, Robin, I think he's built a market for himself. The issue is obviously he's not a free agent after this season. He's still got 1 more year with the Eagles until he was to become a free agent. They would void the contract in February of 2019. But from a trade perspective, this makes sense. This could be a win-win for both of these guys. I mean, the Eagles could get a pretty decent pick when you see Jimmy Garoppolo go for a late second-round pick. Alex Smith had the 3rd-round pick in his deal along with a cornerback in that deal. So would you do Foles for a 3? I think the Eagles would do that, and there's suitors. The Cardinals are reportedly interested in Foles. We know the Jets need a quarterback. The Browns, the Broncos all need a quarterback. The thing is, though, how does Foles handle it? You remember, he was traded before to the Rams, and that was a disaster. Got benched by Jeff Fisher. So it's kind of his second time around, 29 years old, maybe 1 more big contract for him.
Circumstances play a lot into success in sports, in life, but I think Foles might be better than we give him credit for. I mean, you can see his comparison to Wentz directly right there. He was a guy who, when he first came out, 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions under Chip Kelly. Yeah, then he struggled, but now he's played pretty well with a good team around him. There's always a market for quarterbacks. I think he might be better than we gave him credit for because people sort of wanted to tear him down maybe a little bit after that initial hype and burst on the scene.
Yeah, we might add him to the list of Brady, Hostetler, Doug Williams, Trent Dilfer, Nick Foles if he wins the Super Bowl coming on as a backup. But Robin, some interesting remarks from Roger Goodell on Wednesday, who, despite his history with the Patriots, said New England's run of success has been a good thing for the NFL. Take a listen.
It's really remarkable that they're in, and going for their 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years in this kind of a system where keeping that group together, changing whatever they need to change, whether it's players or coaches, or they do that in a way and still create success. I just think that I marvel at that. I think our other clubs marvel at that. I think fans marvel at that. And I think the balance of having new teams with teams that continue to find ways to win is a great thing for the NFL.
What do you think, Robin? Roger is marveled with the Patriots. Do you agree with him?
I agree if we're talking in the past tense. The Patriots have been good for the NFL. Their dynasty was good for the NFL. I think all the data points show you that dynasties are good for sports, but I do think they've jumped the shark, if you will, where we've finally just gotten fatigue. I mean, and you see it in the coverage this year. There are no new angles. There is nothing to be gained or lost for the Patriots in this game. They lose this game, oh well, you know, they already have all those Super Bowls. They win this game, oh well, they already have all these Super Bowls, including the 28-3 comeback from a year ago. So I think in the annals of history, the Patriots were good for the NFL. Right now, the Patriots are not good for the NFL.
Yeah, this Super Bowl has lacked buzz, but can you imagine if this was Jaguars-Eagles? I mean, instead of talking about Brady and Belichick, we're talking about Blake Bortles and Doug Marrone. Oh, my goodness. Put me to sleep, Robin. Are you kidding me? I mean, for the marquee value of what you want from a Super Bowl, you have marquee players in Brady and Belichick. They've been to 8 of the last 17 Super Bowls. Hey, I have Patriots hangover big time. This used to be the feel-good story when Brady took over back in 2002, beat the Rams, a couple more Super Bowls. No one thought in this day and age in the NFL, any team could make a run like this. And it happens. Why? Because Brady consistently has taken less money at the marquee position so his franchise could build a team around him. It doesn't happen because players don't do what Tom Brady has done. No one does that. So has it been good? I mean, yeah, it gives us someone to root against, right? I mean, people like to hate the villain. Yeah, they've got the villain in this game again as far as outside of New England. All right, speaking of quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, he lit up the NFL before suffering a season-ending injury. He joined us earlier in the week to talk about Tom Brady and why LeBron James should take his talents to Houston. Take a look.
Now, you've said you're chasing Tom Brady and want 6 rings. Earlier this year, he praised you, but he's almost twice your age and still playing in the Super Bowl. You think he's ever going to fall off?
I don't think so. I mean, he's just one of those guys that just always, you know, is bringing it. He understands the recipe to get to where he wants to get to. And, I mean, he goes harder each and every year. And whatever he's doing, you know, behind the doors and behind in the offseason, he's going to continue to do that, probably even 10 times harder. So being able to, you know, continue to do what he's doing at that age is special.
Now, your city mates, the Rockets, they're rolling this season. James Harden just put up 60, 10, and 11. Where does that rank amongst the most impressive stat lines you've ever seen?
Oh, that's up there. I mean, James Harden is probably one of the best. You know, he is one of the best players in the NBA, and it should be, I think, the leader of the MVP, you know, candidate. So I'm a big fan of the Rockets. I love watching them. Love watching James do what he do, and he's going hard each and every game.
Now, in Houston, there's a lot of great athletes. There's you, J.J. Watt, Jose Altuve, James Harden, Chris Paul. Who's the best athlete in H-Town right now?
Of course, I'm going to be biased and say myself. But if I had to pick, I mean, James Harden, just what he's doing consistently and what he's been doing for a long time.
Now, speaking of James, the Cleveland Cavaliers are really struggling at the moment, and there's a lot of speculation about LeBron James leaving this summer. I want to hear your pitch. Why should King James go to the Rockets?
I mean, it's the best city in the country, and I mean, it's special. And what we're going to do on the football field in the next couple of years, and what the baseball team is going to do, the Astros, and what they just did, and what the Houston Rockets are going to continue to do. It's a city that's, you know, ready for is made for greatness, and I mean, he should be able to come and win some championships.
Now, you got the Old Spice shirt on. Tell us why you like Old Spice Premium Scents.
You know, I like it because they have this new captains from the Reds collection, and being able to have the premium scent, you don't have to go buy the pricey bottles. You can just get it with Old Spice.
Deshaun, appreciate your time, man. Good luck in your rehab, and hope to see you back out there soon.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
In November, rapper Meek Mill was sentenced to 2 to 4 years in prison due to a probation violation. Many have come out in support of Meek, dubbing the sentence heavy-handed, as prosecutors recommended he not be imprisoned for the violations, which included popping a wheelie on a dirt bike in a music video. Considering Meek's cult status in his hometown of Philadelphia, freeing Meek has become a key issue for the 76ers organization, specifically co-owner Michael Rubin. You called his sentencing as bad and abuse of power as you've ever seen. Why was it so egregious to you?
Well, you had a probation officer and a district attorney who both recommended no sentence. And you don't ever find circumstances when that happens and someone gets sentenced. So the judge went against both the district attorney and the probation officer when they said, don't give him a sentence, put him in jail for 2 to 4 years. This guy's been on probation for his entire adult life. His big offenses in the last, I think, 12 years have been doing concerts without the proper permission, popping a wheelie during a music video, breaking up a fight in an airport. And this is a guy sitting in jail for 2 to 4 years. It couldn't be any more ridiculous.
Mike, you visited Meek in prison. What did you learn about him, seeing him in that setting?
Yeah, so I've been to see him probably 8 times so far. I try to see him every week that I'm home. For me, it's completely depressing to see a guy that shouldn't be in jail by anyone's standards, to be locked up in a jail. It's scary. It's horrendous. And he's got an amazing attitude. He's just taking it day by day and making sure that he uses the time as productively as he can.
You've said you're confident that he'll be home soon. Why do you feel that way?
I am. I think this is a case where you've got a judge who's completely abused her powers, who has gone, again, against the recommendations of the DA and the probation officer, that I can't believe that something like this holds up. Like, at the end of the day, America's a great country. I believe that, while the probation system, the criminal justice system is completely broken, I believe that generally wrongs get righted, and I think this will get righted sooner than not.
You talk about that broad system. Obviously, Meek is a high-profile case, but it has shown a light on that. I mean, I read an op-ed from Jay-Z in the New York Times about it. I know you've spoken about it. Have you used this case, and will it incentivize you to take a more proactive approach to trying to fix the criminal justice system?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I guess the positive in this is, up until this happened with Meek, I had no interest. Like, I knew nothing about the criminal justice system. I knew nothing about the probation system. I didn't care. It was like, I was focused on growing our business. I was focused on my family and friends. And so when this happened to Meek, and I sat in the court with him, and I watched the way the judge abused the people in the courtroom and how poorly she treated everybody, I said, this has to stop. I went into this about how do I help a friend in a horrible position, and now I feel like I've got a responsibility to help make the criminal justice system, a much better system than it is today. But the one good thing that I know is he and I and others will help reform and improve the criminal justice system so it doesn't happen to other people. Because imagine if Meek Mill, 3 months later, is still sitting in jail for popping a wheelie. Imagine the average person who can't get the help. And I think it's Meek's responsibility and my responsibility and others to help make a difference there.
All right, let's talk about another guy you've gotten to know well over the last few years. That's Joel Embiid, who's having a big year on the court, and he's big off the court, too. He's got a lot to say, especially on social media. Yeah, really
he's
shy,
very
Mike.
introverted. Yeah, we're trying to get him to come out of his shell. We're working hard with him on that.
Yeah, let me ask you about him a little bit. When it comes to social media, he's outspoken. He takes shots at really whoever he wants at this point on social media.
Me included. Not on social media, but
as ownership, has it been discussed? Is there a line that you'd rather him not cross as far as social media?
Well, first and foremost, we think he is an incredible player, an incredible guy, and he is, we're fortunate to have, him to be, kind of in the, the nucleus of everything that we're doing. I think anytime there's been an issue and you talk to Joel, he's going to handle it maturely, and he's going to think it through. I mean, he really wants to, put the city on its shoulders, put the team on its shoulders, but he's also very reasonable and logical. So, look, he's got a big personality. He puts his big personality out there, and that's great for the NBA. It's great for the sport. It's great for the Sixers. But if there's something difficult, he'll always work with you as well.
I know you've gotten to become pretty good friends with him over the last couple of years here. He's raised eyebrows, made us say, wow, did he do that on social media? What's the craziest thing he's done just off the court with you or in conversation and getting to know him a little bit?
Well, he almost killed me once. we were together at actually Meek's 30th birthday party in Dominican Republic, and he was driving a golf cart, and we had a little wager that he had lost on the way to DR. And so we were bantering with it back and forth, and he turned around, and before I knew, he almost drove into a tree and killed everybody on the golf cart. So that's probably the worst thing he's ever done, that I'm aware of at least.
Did he feel bad about that?
No. I'm a great driver. What are you talking about? If it was anybody else, they would have gotten in an accident. I'm the best.
It's the first time he said something without referencing the process at that point, I would imagine.
He might have referenced the process as well.
Speaking of that, Sam Hinkie stepped down about 2 years ago. Looking back on his tenure, how would you evaluate it and how it all unfolded?
Look, Sam is obviously incredibly intelligent and obviously set the team up in a great way. I think, I hope I speak for, all of my partners, that I think everyone's appreciative of everything that Sam did. I mean, he's a really smart basketball mind. Certainly, team's in a great position today, and you have to give him, a lot of credit for that.
Markelle Fultz, the rookie season hasn't quite gone the way everyone has hoped. His shooting has been brought into question. I know he's dealing with a shoulder injury. As an owner, how involved are you with his progress, and how concerned are you at this point with getting him back on the court?
Well, to start with, we specialize in first-year issues. Joel didn't play the first year. Ben didn't play the first year. And look what they've become. So we're sure that Markelle is going to follow in Joel and Ben's footsteps.
You're an owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. But I understand you're a Patriots fan. You got to be rooting for the Eagles, though, right? They're forcing you here, no?
Yeah, well, look, first of all, Philadelphia's a great city. As you said, we, a group of us own the Sixers. I think at Fanatics we have 6,000 employees. I think just about everybody in that building is rooting for the Eagles. That said, the Crafts are really good friends of mine. I'm incredibly fortunate to count them as such great friends. So I think we're looking for a great game.
Well spoken. That was a very
that's the first time.
politically correct.
It's the first time my media training ever came in successful once in my life.
So you're rooting for a tie, is what you're saying?
Yeah, we're looking for. Yeah, look. It's not a secret that I am a big Patriots fan. I'm huge fans of the Crafts. I'm huge fans of what they've done. Economically, the companies behind Fanatics is rooting for the Eagles because, certainly the Patriots are so successful. They win every year. There's only so many Super Bowl T-shirts one human being can own. We keep testing that because they keep buying more and more each year. But it is true that I'm a big Patriots fan.
Will you be at the game?
I will.
You will. Whose box? Crafts box? Your own box? Eagles box?
He didn't want to answer that. I saw that look when he said
I got nothing to say.
You just want the Sixers to be the team to bring a championship back to Philadelphia next.
Exactly.
All right, there you go.
Thank you.
Michael Rubin, co-owner of the Philadelphia 76ers.
'18, Floyd Money Mayweather, MMA. What are the odds, Patty? What are the odds?
What are the odds? He's at it again, Robin. This time, Floyd Mayweather in an octagon, fueling speculation that he'll fight in MMA and possibly a UFC match against Conor McGregor. That was from Fight Hype. Yeah, this fuels the hype when you see him in that octagon. What do you think? Mayweather serious about getting in the octagon?
Mayweather must need one of two things or both. Those things being money and attention. Because his career arc as a boxer, separating it from everything else, is pretty much flawless. He never lost. He beat McGregor in, whatever you want to call that fight. But he also beat all the people he was asked to beat. Maybe not perfect timing with Pacquiao, Alvarez, so on and so forth. I don't know what he gains by getting into the octagon. He certainly has a lot to lose if he gets embarrassed. So it makes me think he's either starving for the limelight to be back on him or needs the cash, the money for Mayweather.
You mentioned money and attention, probably his two favorite things in the world. That's why he's even on social media doing this. I mean, I'd watch. I certainly would watch. I watched the first time the boxing match. I would watch a UFC fight between these two. I think Mayweather would get whooped in the octagon against Conor McGregor, out of his element, and this would soil his legacy. You hope that, amidst all the hype, the videos, Money Mayweather, all the things that he's done, that he has a sense of his legacy, and this would tarnish his legacy if he stepped into that ring.
The most interesting thing about Floyd Mayweather to me is that he's such a giant paradox, right? Because the way he fights, he's like a genius. He's super calculated. He obviously studies everything that's going on. And then the way he acts is the antithesis of that. And I think believing that he can get into the octagon, I would never sell short his preparation. He's not just going to walk into that blind, but I would maybe sell short how much thought he put into this beforehand.
Well, you know what, though? He's so calculating. When you talk about the way he puts a fight plan together. He calculated that fight plan to go against McGregor in the boxing ring. He's calculating here what he's doing. These videos aren't just, hey, I feel like posting something on Instagram today to, poke at Conor McGregor. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's talked about the money he could make if he fought in this fight or maybe a 3 to 4 match agreement with UFC. He thinks he could make $1 billion. You would think the guy has enough where it doesn't matter at this point, but when it comes down to Mayweather, it's all about the money, always.
And he knows he'll get people talking. We'll have more to talk about tomorrow here on SI Now at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. In the meantime, check out SI Now Live on Twitter for the latest videos and updates. Maybe more of Mayweather in the Octagon. Practicing
new video tomorrow, probably.
Rear naked choke or something like that. He would have to go boxing. He'd have to try and catch them before they got in there, I'm imagining.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, good point.